You ever look in the mirror and wonder if that stubborn breakout or rash is trying to tell you something? Like something more? What if the key to clearer skin isn't in a bottle or a cream, but actually deep inside your body? Today we're diving into a really fascinating connection, the gut-skin axis. Let's get into it.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with the problem right on the surface, those skin issues that drive us crazy. Then we're going to go deep inside the gut to find a pretty surprising culprit. We'll uncover the highway that connects the two, see what happens when that whole system breaks down, and then talk about how we might be able to tend to our inner garden for better skin. And finally, we'll look at what the future holds for all this.
All right, let's start with a feeling I think many of us know all too well. That frustration of dealing with skin conditions that just won't get.
You know that cycle, right? The flare-ups, the frustration. You try all these different topical treatments, but nothing seems to solve it for good. Sound familiar?
Yeah, we're talking about those chronic inflammatory conditions like eczema, psoriasis, acne, and rosacea. And these aren't just cosmetic things, right? They are complex biological responses that can really impact your quality of life. And as it turns out, where they come from might be a lot deeper than just the skin itself.
So, this brings us to a pretty radical idea. What if to solve an external problem, we actually need to look inward?
That's right. The next big frontier in dermatology might actually be our digestive system. It's a total shift in how we think about this, suggesting that our skin is basically a window to what's happening on the inside.
And to understand why, you first have to appreciate the just mind-blowing scale of what's going on inside us. Your body is home to somewhere between 10 and 100 trillion microbial cells. It's an absolutely astonishing number, like a bustling city of tiny organisms living inside of you.
And this massive community, it's called the microbiome. I think the best way to picture it is like a complex inner garden. When this garden is balanced and flourishing, it helps your whole system work the way it should. But when it gets out of whack, well, those effects can ripple outwards and show up right on your skin.
And here's where it gets really critical for our skin. Your gut is basically command central for your body's defense system. A staggering 70% of your immune cells are located right there. So that means the health of your gut microbiome is directly training and influencing the very system that controls inflammation all over your body, including in your skin.
So, how does this inner garden actually talk to your skin? This is where we get to the main event, the gut-skin axis.
And look, this isn't just a wellness trend, this is science. As this quote from the Journal of Functional Foods makes really clear, this is a recognized two-way street. What happens in your gut does not stay in your gut. It can directly mess with your skin. And what's really fascinating is that it can even work the other way around.
So who are the messengers carrying all this information back and forth? Well, one of the most important groups are these little molecules called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs for short. Think of them as powerful, beneficial byproducts that get made when our gut bacteria get to work. The way they're made is actually beautifully simple. First, you eat stuff with dietary fiber, fruits, vegetables, whole grains. Then, your good gut bacteria munch on that fiber and ferment it. And as a result, they produce these incredibly helpful SCFAs. It's a perfect partnership between our diet and our microbiome.
So what do these SCFAs do for our skin? Well, they travel from the gut into your bloodstream and act like tiny little signaling molecules. When they get to the skin, they get busy. They help calm down inflammation, they strengthen the skin's protective barrier, and they basically promote a state of healthy balance, which scientists call homeostasis. They're absolutely crucial for keeping your skin calm and resilient.
So, a healthy gut is pumping out plenty of these helpful messengers. But what happens when that system breaks down? Okay, so this really shows the difference between a healthy gut and a state called gut dysbiosis. On the one hand, you've got a diverse, thriving rainforest of microbes, all protected by a strong gut lining. But on the other side, you have dysbiosis. It's more like a barren field, low diversity, and a compromised or leaky barrier. And that leakiness is a huge problem. So what happens when that gut barrier is leaky? Well, for one thing, the production of all those good SCFAs just tanks. But it also means that inflammatory things that are supposed to stay inside the gut can actually escape into the bloodstream. This sets off a body-wide immune response, leading to system-wide inflammation. And the research now shows this is a direct trigger for flare-ups in conditions like atopic dermatitis, psoriasis, and acne. The connection is pretty undeniable.
Okay, so if an imbalanced inner garden is the problem, the next logical question is,
how do we fix it? How do we tend to this garden? Let's talk solutions.
One of the major strategies involves something you've probably heard of, probiotics. The name literally means for life. These are live beneficial microorganisms, like the well-studied Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium strains, that can help repopulate the gut and bring things back into a healthier balance.
But those good bacteria, they need food to thrive, right? And that's where prebiotics come in. These are basically non-digestible fibers that you find in foods like garlic, onions, and oats. They act like fertilizer for your good microbes, helping them grow and produce more of those all-important SCFAs.
And when you put the two together, the beneficial bacteria and their specific food, you get what's called a synbiotic. The whole idea is to create a team effort, giving the new bacteria the fuel they need to get established and really flourish right from the start.
Now, this all sounds incredibly promising, but it's really important to remember that this is still a pretty new field of science. So what does the future actually hold?
Well, while the link itself is clear, a lot of the specifics are still being ironed out. Researchers are working hard to figure out the best strains and the right dosages of probiotics for specific skin conditions. We also need more big, long-term human studies to really understand the lasting effects and, maybe most importantly, to develop personalized approaches. Because, my microbiome is not the same as yours.
And that leaves us with a final, really interesting question. We've clearly moved beyond just treating the skin on the surface. We're now looking at this whole inside-out approach. So is personalized gut care the actual future of skincare? Or is this incredible gut-skin connection just the first clue in an even bigger, more complex puzzle about our health? The science is changing every day, and it's a really fascinating space to watch.